Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio College Basketball Closing Time Show for Saturday, January 16th. Ian Cameron, Connor Mack with you, ready to break down this college basketball slate. Very interesting card on tap for this Saturday. A lot of interesting games, a lot of good ones as well. We're going to start right at the top of the rotation where we've got a good game going on in the Big Ten. We've got the surging Ohio State Buckeyes playing some really good ball, taking on the Illinois Fighting Illini. We've got Illinois right now, about a 6.5 point favorite in this game. Total right now sitting around 145.5. Do have some injury concerns for Ohio State, though. It looks like there's a couple guys that will not suit up for them in this game today. You've got the Illinois Fighting Illini looking to bounce back from a rare loss. And if you've actually gone back and looked at Illinois when they lost their previous game, they've come back the very next game and played some of their best basketball of the season. And I think this is where we find out really where Ohio State is. We know they've had a very, very good run. This will be one of the bigger tests they've had here in Big Ten play, one of the better opponents they've played during this nice little stretch of basketball. We'll see if they're up to it. I just think they're getting Illinois wrong place, wrong time here. I laid it with the Illinois Fighting Illini here. I -6. It's up to 6.5. Still think it's worth a bet at that number. Connor, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think Illinois bounces back. I like what Ohio State's done lately. Like you said, there's a few guys out today. I also lean the over a little bit. I don't know why. Ohio State's been an over team. They cashed the over the other day against Northwestern. I think this one, Illinois loves to get up and down. Not only I think they cover, I think this is an over as well. I had over 146. So.
All right, on we go now. We've got Florida State taking on North Carolina. Very good one here in the ACC. Florida State right now, approximately -4, 4.5 road home favorites, 144 the total. I like Florida State in this game as well. North Carolina to me has just been a little bit too inconsistent, erratic. It was not a pretty performance from them by any stretch against Syracuse, but effective. We'll see if it can carry over here against this Florida State team. Florida State, remember, they had the shutdown. We were kind of worried, how things were going to go for them. But I just think right now, when you look at where these two teams are, Florida State a little bit better right now. You're only paying just a little bit more than home court to back the Noles here. I like Florida State here to get the win and the cover in this short home favorite price range. CMAC, what do you think here with this one? UNC, FSU.
I agree with you. I think I was surprised how great the Florida State's defense was against NC State the other day. I mean, they played a great game. North Carolina, don't know what to make of them still. I just think they're a decent basketball team. They have talent. They definitely could go in there and cover this but I'd lean Florida State as well. I didn't bet this one. I liked it better at 3.5, but still 3.5, 4 at this point. It's over a triple. So I lean Florida State as well.
Yeah, a lot of people expected, and I did too, North Carolina to be really, really good this year with Garrison Brooks back and Armando Bacot and Leaky Black, a really good team, a lot of experience coming back. And it's just been up and down a little bit, not quite the consistency and dominance I thought we would see this North Carolina team exert throughout the course of the season. And I think they're going to have a tough time today matching up with Florida State in this one. We've got Syracuse and Pittsburgh, another ACC game. Syracuse, 4.5 point road favorites, 140 the total. I think you're going to get a game from Syracuse where they come out ready. They're going to remember the last time they played Pitt because they really should have buried Pitt in that game at the Carrier Dome. They were up big. They let it slip away, fell asleep in the second half. Pitt came all the way back from like a double-digit deficit to beat Syracuse earlier this season. So it's a meaningful revenge spot just because of the fashion Syracuse lost to Pitt the first time around. Pitt certainly has had their struggles putting the ball in the basket. Syracuse, I think, has got a good chance here to get the road win. I'll lay the 4.5 here with the Syracuse Orange to get the job done over Pitt. They're the better team. They're in revenge. And again, don't be fooled by the final score in the first meeting. Syracuse controlled that game for most of it and then just, I think, flipped the switch off. I don't know, shut down their brain, shut down their mind, stop moving, whatever you want to call it. But Pitt took advantage of that, give them credit. But Syracuse was better most of that game, and I think if they show that 40 minutes of focus, which I believe they will here, I think they can cover this number. What do you think, Connor, with Syracuse and Pitt?
Yeah, this one was very interesting. I just can't trust Syracuse, and not that I love Pitt that much. Like you said, they have a tough time scoring. I've watched them a few times this year. Their offense can be very stagnant. They move the ball around. They can't score. But I like them here getting 4.5. I don't know. I think Syracuse hasn't shown that have been able to play a complete game. The game just against North Carolina was up and down. They kind of lapse at the end of games. I thought it was just too much. I didn't want to. Looking at it, I thought Syracuse from initial look, but I didn't want to lay 4.5. These numbers. We'll talk about a few more coming up, but these short numbers as road favorites kind of been biting me. So I'm going to go the other way. I think it's just a few too many. I'm going to take Pittsburgh plus 4.5.
All right, like in Pitt plus 4.5. They haven't. It's weird the scheduling because Pitt hasn't played since that Syracuse game I talked about. Syracuse has played twice since then, so a little bit of odd scheduling here, but definitely a lot of time off for Pitt. I haven't played in about a week and a half going into this one. Next up, we've got let's see, we'll go down the card to a few more marquee games because again, we're going to stay on the air with you until about 12:45 Eastern. And then we'll have a little 10-minute intermission or so. And then, of course, we'll be back with you at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for the NFL closing time show with Conor, Max, Ski Profit, and myself breaking down the divisional playoff games. I'm looking forward to those. You better believe it. Missouri, Texas A&M. We've got Missouri 4-point road favorites, 131.5 the total in this one. I'm going to try to keep the games I'm selecting the more marquee matchups today. And then if we've got any bets on the other games on the card, we'll mention those before we get to best bets. I laid the 4 with Missouri. I mean, I know A&M kind of surprised me with their second half rally against Mississippi State. It angered me quite a bit because I had Mississippi State in that game. But that doesn't really prove much to me in terms of, wow, A&M's really back on track. Mississippi State's been a very, very flighty, flaky, inconsistent team at both ends of the floor. They're facing a much better Missouri team here in this game. Missouri's shown the capability to go on the road, get the job done. Remember, they beat a good Arkansas team recently on the road, and A&M's no Arkansas, that's for sure. I think it's a reasonable number, all things considered. I'll go with the Missouri Tigers. Quanzo Martin and company to get the job done here, -4. C-Mac, what do you think, Missouri A&M?
I'm with you, too. This is a road favorite. I liked at the short number. I think it was more, Mississippi State has been playing better. They just, had a horrible second half. Because A&M, they've gotten beaten bad at home. They got whipped by South Carolina, by LSU bad. They lost to TCU, the good old TCU that's getting rid. They lost to them 73-55 earlier here. I got to go Missouri. I laid the 4. They've had the tougher schedule. It'll be gritty because all A&M Buzz Williams is going to do because they don't have great scores is really, slow this down and try to make it, a rock fight and muck it up. But I got to go with the better team, and I'm with you. I'm on Missouri -4, 4.5 now.
Yeah, well, I agree. It's still playable in my opinion at 4.5. Creighton and Butler. We've got Creighton 7.5-point road favorites, 141 the total. This is tricky. Creighton's definitely the better of these two teams, and any given day they're good enough to win and cover numbers like this. And when their A game is on, boy, we've seen them blow out teams and absolutely rout teams. But Butler's getting healthy. Butler's been more. I'll be honest though, Butler was very disappointing in their last game. I thought they would play better than they did in that last game that they played. But they are getting healthier. They are definitely showing signs of improvement. I'm leery of Creighton in this spot because a lot of bets on Creighton, yet the money's pouring in on Butler. People are seeing Butler's, not only gotten healthier, but they're competing in games. This is one of those games where on paper it looks like this number's cheap on Creighton because of how good they've been, but they've not quite been pedal to the metal basketball away from Omaha. On the road, they had to barely beat. They were in a tight game with UConn. They struggled to pull away from St. John's and some other teams that they've played on the road. They haven't exactly dominated teams. I'm worried. This might be a spot for the home dog. I mean, it's not a game I'm probably going to get involved with, but the fact that there's this much money coming in on Butler makes me think where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't usually always say that the steam move and the steam line movement is always the right side and is always the right line movement. It might be in this game though. Butler to put up a fight at home, it wouldn't shock me. And we have seen Creighton at times, not life or death, but struggle to win by margin on the highway. C-Mac, what do you think here, Creighton Butler?
Yeah, you nailed it. They have had trouble on the road. I mean, they had one blowout win against St. John's, but tough teams in Kansas, Connecticut, and got lost by 1 to them, and then beat UConn by 2, Providence by 2. Butler just laid an egg against St. John's the other night. This is just a tricky spot. The line looked funny. I mean, right away, you want to jump on Creighton, and some people think it might be a bargain. But I don't know. I'm staying off it. Right away, it's Creighton. I think they could win this game by 10 or more. But I don't know. I think Butler comes to play. I wouldn't be surprised if they cover this one at home.
All right, next up, we're going to go to a very good one in the Big Ten, Michigan, Minnesota. Michigan, 5.5-point road favorites, 147.5 the total. So I, like an idiot, decided let's get in front of Michigan here. Let's fade this team here against Wisconsin. And obviously, I paid the price for it. And I said, oh, that's the last time I do that for a while. Bet against Michigan at your own peril, guys. That's my only advice here in this game. You want to go ahead and say, oh, they're overvalued. That's what I said going into the Wisconsin game. Well, they clearly didn't show that the other night. What a performance. I mean, this is a really good basketball team. Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers. I mean, it is just an absolutely outstanding team. Inside, outside balance. Their defense has picked it up this season. Juwan Howard's team, I think, has gotten better at the defensive end of the floor throughout the course of the season. Of course, when you're talking Minnesota, you have to focus on with this team. It's Marcus Carr, who's been absolutely amazing for the Gophers this year. But again, a lot more reliant on him. Whereas there's other guys that can beat you and punish you here on this Michigan team. I was not ready to say Michigan was national title contender or Final Four worthy prior to the Wisconsin game. I'm now a little bit more willing to have that discussion. That was damn impressive. And good luck fading Michigan. I'm not doing it again. So for me, it would be a lean to the road favorite. I know that place in Minnesota, the barn as they call it, is sometimes tricky place to win. And Minnesota has had some nice wins on that home floor. They beat Iowa earlier this season on that home floor. They're capable. And yeah, I mean, that's the one thing you worry about. Minnesota's had some of their better performances on their home floor this year. But you're not going to see me betting against Michigan twice in a row, not after what I saw the other night. Connor, what do you think here with Michigan, Minnesota?
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like I talked to you, I almost played Wisconsin, did it. I took the over. Wisconsin couldn't make a shot. I don't like Minnesota at all. This is the only spot I might take them the rest of the year. I'm going to take 6. I got 6. I see 5.5s now. Yeah, I don't blame you. Michigan is rolling. They look really good. But I want the 6 at home with Minnesota. I think it's just a weird morning game, Saturday morning. I think Michigan's going to lose a couple games. There's just the Big Ten's too good of a conference. So I don't know. They might not win it, but I'll take the 6 points with Minnesota. I lean the over. Michigan's defense looked good. I think not only was their D good, Wisconsin missed a ton of shots, but Minnesota plays up and down. I'd lean a little bit towards the over, but it's up there at 147.5.
I do too, but the concern is Michigan shot lights out against Wisconsin, and their defense is getting better. And I rode some Michigan earlier in the season, and now I'm a little bit more. And you're starting to see them actually trend the other way just a little bit in terms of total. So that's the concern I have with that in terms of going over the total. Next up, Kentucky versus Auburn. We go to the SEC. Auburn opened 1-point home favorites up to 3 now in most spots. The total also bet up 143 to 146.5. I agree with the side move. I agree with the total move in this game. I have Auburn. I have over the total. Auburn money line is what I bet, I think, overnight, a -130, and the money line's gone up. I think you probably can lay 2.5, 3, so make sure you shop around. Look, normally I'm not one of those people that buys into the, one player makes all the difference in the world for a team because it's a team sport. But Sharif Cooper, man, I mean, that's all you have to say. I mean, look at Auburn's play in the 2 games with him. They nearly beat Alabama, who is just on an absolute tear right now. and then they dismantle Georgia after that in their last game. Absolutely impressive stuff from this Auburn team. Now, Georgia's not great, but to go to Georgia and just romp like that, pretty damn impressive. And you can see with Cooper, 2-0 against the spread for this Auburn team. And now Kentucky to go on the road, and this resurgent Auburn team now trying to beat them, and Kentucky just beaten down to a pulp by Alabama earlier this week at Rupp Arena. Again, we thought Kentucky was making strides forward, and they still are, but they ran in Alabama at the wrong time. Alabama is just a freight train right now. Now, Kentucky has played more competitive, has been better. You always worry about that now we're getting up there with Auburn, where not only do they have to win, they're going to have to win by 4, 5, 6 points in that range. But I think they can, to be honest with you. I like what I'm seeing. Their offense has been so much better. That's really been the key for this Auburn team. They are just, all of a sudden, the offensive fluidity and the offensive efficiency has skyrocketed up in just the 2 games with Sharif Cooper, the 5-star, making his debut here with Auburn. So, again, these are the great situations you love to bet in college basketball this deep into the season, because all the numbers are based on full season records, full season power ratings, full season results and data. When you get a change in a team that's impactful like this, and the betting markets are slow to adjust and slow to react to it, you can capitalize on it for a few games in a row, like betting Auburn these last 2 games. I'm going right back to it here. Auburn as the small home favorite, and I agree with the total. I like over 146.5 again. Alabama dragged Kentucky into a high-scoring game with their pace. I think Auburn, with their pace and their shooting, will do the same with this Kentucky team. Connor, what do you think here with Kentucky-Auburn?
Man, I'm conflicted here. I think Kentucky laid an egg the other day. I love Auburn and Sharif Cooper, but I thought this game was a pick'em, and I thought it'd be close. Now that I see threes, and I see a 3.5, I'm going to take Kentucky. I just think it's a little too much craziness on jumping on Auburn, I think, right here. I'd be weary of it. He's really, really good, but Kentucky getting that, I think they could stay in this game. If I see 3 in a hook, because I already see threes everywhere, I'll take Kentucky. I'll go on the other side if I can get 3.5 and go with the Wildcats.
All right, and nothing wrong with that, because again, we're talking about a pretty swift move here on Auburn. So if you can get,
it is very. I mean, it was yeah. I mean, I thought the game was like more of a pick'em. I think Auburn was the lean there. I liked it, but wow, that's a lot of money coming in on them.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and we'll see if it's warranted. But definitely Auburn looking like at least a team with some bet-on potential right now, without a doubt. Stanford and Colorado now. We go to the Pac-12. Colorado 7.5-point favorites here in Boulder, 140.5 the total. Colorado just eviscerated Cal the other day on this home floor. It's tough to bet against Colorado at home. It really is, even though Stanford is a more than capable basketball team. We know that on their best day, Stanford, they're as good as anybody. We'll see how they fare here, though, in Boulder. You know how I feel about these Utah to Colorado and vice versa road trips where you're playing in those 2 places, 2 games in 3 days usually. They can be difficult when you get to that second part of the back-to-back, and that's what Stanford is going through here after they were at Utah the other day and lost 79-65. The one concern because I lean Colorado, but the one concern is that Stanford's off that loss to Utah by 14, didn't play well, and they got them chomping at the bit looking to bounce back. But still, the travel spot, you're in altitude for a second game in 3 days. That's never easy. Colorado's just been finding ways here at home to get the job done. I know Stanford will want to play better. Wanting to play better doesn't necessarily mean you will. So I lean to the home favorite here in the Buffaloes. What's your take, C-Mac?
Yeah, I haven't got to the window with this one. Colorado's just been so good at home, and they just blown out teams, and I've rode them all year. This is a weird spot because I think if Stanford doesn't lose so bad to Utah the other day, and Utah finally played, a whole 40 minutes, if they don't, lose by 14 to that one, if that one's tighter, they win it. I think this is only like a 4.5, 5. I think there's a little value with Stanford, but that altitude, the back-to-back, it's just not, I don't know. I need a little more. If I had 9, I'd maybe go with Stanford. I think that's a lot of points. But Colorado's just really good at home. I don't blame anybody for laying the 7.5 here today.
Yeah, that to me, it'll probably just stay a lean. But yeah, it's difficult right now to go against the Buffaloes right now on their home floor. Next up, back to the SEC we go. Arkansas taking on Alabama. The Crimson Tide, and no, we're not talking about Alabama football being great. We're now talking about Alabama basketball being great right now. They're 2-point home favorites, 161.5 to 162.5 the total. Not a surprise to see a very, very high total here for this game with these two teams. You're going to get significant pace. You're going to get both of these teams going up and down the basketball court. Not a surprise there. Two very, very electrifying teams offensively, especially Alabama. Their three-point shooting right now is off the charts. They are really providing matchup nightmares for opposing teams. Just ask Kentucky, and what Alabama did to them last week. And what's been impressive is, they did it without Javon Quinterly. Herb Jones got injured in that game against Kentucky. Jordan Bruner's out as well for Alabama, and they kept on going into Kentucky and just pummeled the Wildcats, even though they were a shorthanded basketball team as well. But even without those guys, they've still got Jaden Shackelford, John Petty, Alex Reese. I mean, it's still a team that's got plenty of weaponry, plenty of options at their disposal. They might be a little bit shorthanded again today, and I think the betting markets see that. That's why Arkansas has taken some early money. They opened 3.5-point road underdogs. Now they're down to 2 in most spots. So some play on Arkansas because of the Alabama injuries. But hey, I'm going to repeat what I said in the Michigan game. Bet against Alabama right now at your own peril. I'm not doing it, even with the injuries. So I'm not on Alabama either. It's not the greatest. They're a huge road win against Kentucky. You worry about it a little bit, and you might be shorthanded, a couple key cogs out. So I understand it's not the greatest of spots in the world for Alabama, but I'm not anxious to make a case to go against them right now either. So for me, if anything, over the total, it's very high, but I'd be scared to death to bet an under with these two teams right now. CMAC, what do you think here? Arkansas, Alabama.
Yeah, there should be a lot of points in this one. I'm with you, even with the injuries. I lean with Alabama. I haven't bet it either. Arkansas has lost 3 of 4. I mean, they whipped up on Georgia by 99-69, but they got beat down by LSU. They lost to Missouri pretty handily, and 5 to Tennessee. I lean with Alabama at the short number if you can get under 3. I don't know. I just don't want to go against them like you said. I haven't bet it, but that'd be my lean.
All right, one of the big games of the day, to be certain, is the one we're going to talk about right now. Baylor, Texas Tech, a Big 12 action here. We've got Baylor, road favorites here in Lubbock, right around. Looks like they're currently around 4.5 point road favorites, 137 the total. This total is being bet down. I agree. If you like the under, get it now. I do think this game stays under the total. 138.5. I see 137.5 now. It's just got one of the makings of a tight, low-scoring, grinded-out affair. Two good defensive teams. I think you're going to see that on full display here going into this one. Baylor, they haven't played since last Saturday when they absolutely walloped TCU 67-49. I mean, you look at Baylor, in Big 12 play here, Iowa State by 11. Oklahoma by 15, TCU by 18. This is a team that's just rolling right now, but it's not going to be easy here going on the road facing a very good Texas Tech team that's coming off a massive win on the road against another very good team in Texas, 79-77. Mac McClung heroics getting the victory there for Texas Tech. Really, a team that I think had a couple of games where you said, well, they're not playing really up to their capabilities. But you saw it against Texas when they're on their game. Texas Tech, they're as good as anybody, honestly, in the country, no question. With McClung and Terrence Shannon Jr., Kevin McCullough, Kyler Edwards, Marcus Santos Silva. It's a damn good basketball team. I'm not selling Texas Tech short. This is a tough one, really, really tough one because it's difficult to go against Baylor. They've been a freight train. I get a sneaking suspicion, though, Tech might be the side here in a tight, down-to-the-wire game, kind of like what we saw with Tech and Texas the other night. Lean slightly to the Red Raiders, but I'm not bullish on it by any stretch. But I'm bullish on watching this game. It's going to be a good one. Connor, what do you think here?
Me too. I'm like right with you. I just wanted a few more points with Texas Tech to pull the trigger. I haven't bet it either. My lean would be Texas Tech getting 4, and I'd lean towards the under. Points would be scored. I love the over. I thought the other day that dropped way too low in the Texas Tech game, and that flew over. But this one I'd lean under, and I'd lean with the points with Tech. I haven't bet it. I just need a few more. Baylor's that good. I think they've been able the last 2 years to go on the road and win these games handily and cover. They were a cover machine last year. Made tons of money with them, and they've been pretty good this year. They've had a few pauses because of COVID, but I lean a little bit with the points with Texas Tech, but I wasn't a play I made yet. So, but I'm definitely going to watch this one.
All right, good stuff. Someone asking Citadel in the chat with VMI. I like that game. I mean, I was going to mention it once we got to the rest of the board at the end of the show, but yes, I like the Citadel and I like the over against VMI. That should be a lot of points. We get a lot of points in every Citadel game. Citadel games are going into the 170s. So to me, anytime I still see 160s with their totals, it's too damn low. It really is. And I'm going to keep riding it here with Citadel overs. And Citadel's been cashing. They've been a point spread machine as well. So I understand taking the 4 there with the Citadel against VMI. I'd look underdog and over in that game. Let's see what else have we got here. Next up, we've got Florida, Mississippi State. In this one, Florida, about around Pick'em, 135.5 the total in this game. Florida, not pretty, but they came back to beat Ole Miss earlier this week. Nice win. I think Florida's going to win this game. I mean, I was really, really, really disappointed with Mississippi State against a very weak, meandering, mediocre A&M team, and at home, no less, just blowing it like that. That's trouble to me. I think Florida's right now the team I trust a little bit more just to win the game on the road. I think they can do. I know Florida on the road sometimes can be a little bit tricky to trust, but I got to think they win this game. I've just not been overly impressed with what I've seen out of Mississippi State consistency-wise. C-Mac, what do you think? Florida, Mississippi State?
I'm with you. Yeah, what a disappointment because Mississippi State had been playing better basketball the other day. I think with Florida as well. I think this is a game like Florida wins to me, especially the last few years, to go on the road, they should take care of Mississippi State. And I think they do here. And I pick them. I'd lean with the Gators.
All right, we're going to go down the card a little bit because there's a lot of, mid-major games and smaller conference games, and the power conference games aren't really all that great. We got a good team against a really bad team in a lot of these. So we'll go down to all the way down to Gonzaga and St. Mary's, West Coast Conference action here. We've got Gonzaga 15-point road favorites, 146 the total in this one. How about people betting Gonzaga under? But Gonzaga unders are starting to win here in conference play. Gonzaga, not that over machine they were in non-conference play. And, it's a situation where maybe you slow it down a bit. When you get up by such a big margin, you pull back the reins if you're Gonzaga. Teams want to really know your tendencies offensively. I think all of those things when you play in West Coast Conference play factor into why Gonzaga started to trend under the total a little bit. And we saw with St. Mary's against BYU in the loss the other night. I mean, good luck trying to pull St. Mary's over a total. I mean, my gosh. I mean, that team just brings the game to a screeching halt. With, pace, wear the shot clock right down to 0 as much as possible. So it's a true pace war here. Gonzaga's going to run at every opportunity they can because that's where they could absolutely destroy this St. Mary's team. But St. Mary's is going to want to milk the clock, milk the possessions, and try to give themselves a puncher's chance to hang in this game. Number down to 15. Some St. Mary's money, none of it mine. I'm not going against Gonzaga here. Again, a St. Mary's team, like I've said many times, I don't think they're quite as good this year. Cashed a ticket with them with BYU the other night against this St. Mary's team. So did Conor. I believe that was his best bet on the Thursday show that we did. BYU took care of business against St. Mary's. I think they're going to take care of business. Gonzaga. Just a question of whether they cover this number, but I would lean road favorite. And I would actually stay off the total. I mean, even though it's 146, that's low for Gonzaga. That's also extremely high for St. Mary's, a total in that range. So I'm passing overall. Conor, what do you think? Gonzaga, St. Mary's, the old West Coast Conference rivals battling once again.
Yeah, St. Mary's has played them tough over the years. people mention every once in a while. Even Pepperdine had a good one. I haven't touched Gonzaga in a long time. Now that this is down, I might take them first half and maybe full game. I don't know. I might split it up. I just think it's low enough. This team's that good. St. Mary's cannot stay with him. There's just no way. The fact is Gonzaga gonna, give a shit. They need to stay on top of it. They got to get out of the conference there, and they need to get into playing games, and because you play nobody, and then you go to the tournament, even if you have the best
That's a really
team.
good point. You're right. You play a bunch of patsies. You play these Portlands and these, just Pacific
Pepperdine,
and
San Francisco,
and San Francisco, and they're decent little teams, but geez, they're so weak compared to what they face in non-conference play. You compare these West Coast Conference foes to Kansas and Iowa and some of these teams that Gonzaga played earlier in the season. There's no comparison. But you rather face those teams closer to the tournament than early in the season. You get complacent, you get a little lazy in your maybe in your team game because you're not challenged every night. And then when you're finally challenged in March, it's like a splash of cold water on your face. You're not ready for it. That's the concern. That's a really good point there.
Yeah. But anyways, I lean Gonzaga a little bit. This is a late one. We'll see how the day goes, but I think I might be taking them first half and maybe full game. I don't know. I'll wait till later. But I think the number's down. It's kind of a bargain. I think the book still thinks St. Mary's is pretty good. And like we talked about, they're not. They don't, and with a few people out, their best shooter was out the other night. I got to check if he's going to be in today. I lean Gonzaga here.
All right. Next up, Louisville, Miami in the ACC. Louisville, road favorites, 3.5, total 132 in this game. What the hell happened to Miami? I mean, we're singing their praises, and then they end up just having an ugly performance last time out, losing 84-62 against Boston College.
BC.
So same things again. What else is new? Cameron McGusty, game time decision. Chris Likes, game time decision. That's been like that for several games in a row. Problem is they need those guys today. All right. This is a situation where you're playing a very good Louisville team, one of the better teams in the ACC. Louisville's on a roll, 5 straight wins. You can argue the competition. Pitt, Kentucky was their toughest game. They won by 3. Boston College, they did beat a solid Virginia Tech team at home, 73-71. Beat Wake Forest 77-65 on the road in their last game. I like the Louisville team. Don't get me wrong here. Carlik Jones, outstanding senior. David Johnson, Jalen Withers. It's a good basketball team. Very well coached, always under Chris Mack. I'd like to think Miami is going to be better here, but first of all, I need more points. And second of all, I need to make sure they have McGusty and or Likes or both today. And if they don't have those guys, I couldn't back Miami here in this spot. Right now, it's a no play. It's a pass. Assuming they play, maybe I'm a little more interested in Miami. If they don't play, though, I would only look Louisville here laying the points. Connor, what do you think?
Me too. I'm going to wait on those guys. But I think Louisville's just the better team. It's out of that short number, 3.5, 4. I know they're going to play. They should play better after just laying an egg to BC, who's not a very good team. I'm going to check to make sure those guys are in. But even with them in, I think Louisville's, a top 10 team. And I'd take them here at this short number. It's just a lean my way, too. I haven't bet it yet. I'll be waiting.
All right, so just leans for us right now with that particular game. Let's do one more here on the main card, then we'll give out any other games that we're interested in from a betting perspective, and then wrap up with best bets. Washington State, USC, 12.5 point home favorites, 133.5 the total. I'm going to bet Washington State again here, getting the double digits. It didn't work out against UCLA. UCLA, they just ran into this team, couldn't miss a shot. They played flawless, perfect basketball. And sometimes you're just going to walk into a team that's just unconscious from the field, and they play a perfect game. And that's exactly what we got from UCLA. Washington State just got, hit a red hot team at the wrong time. I think they can battle here with USC. USC still is double-digit chalk. I don't trust them. I think you're getting a discount now. How is it that Washington State was getting 9.5, 10 at UCLA, and they're getting 12.5 here at USC? To me, that's value to me personified on Washington State here. I think they'll play better. There's no way USC is going to play like UCLA did the other day. They're not that good offensively. I think Washington State with the double-digit dog here is the way to go. C-Mac, what do you think about this one?
I'm with you. I see too much value there. We talked about SC. I don't trust him either. I did like him the other night. I didn't take it just because Washington. That was more a fate of how bad Washington is, and SC just beat him by 25, whatever it was. But I'm with you. Washington State. The only thing is troubles. I like the points here with them too, like 13, 12 and a half. They're not they just haven't been the same team on the road. They're just kind of like a Utah. I think this is a lot, and I think it's value as well. I will be probably taking it later. I'm going to take Wazoo as well.
All right, looking at Washington State as well for CMAC in that one. All right, any other games? Main board or added board? The floor is yours, CMAC. Anything else that you're interested in from a betting perspective? Some bets you might be looking to make today?
Yeah, let me roll through here real quick. I'm going to roll with Toledo. It's 3.5. I don't think Akron's that good.
Yep, that's on my card.
Yeah, I got to go
there.
Not?
Machine.
Yeah, how do you not there? Let me keep pulling up here. We went over that Stanford one. I didn't take it. Baylor. I don't know. I haven't pulled this one. I like a little bit. We'll see. Is Boston College. I see how good they're coming off of that win against Miami. I want to get more points here. I'm waiting on that one. That's about it right now.
There we go. That's short and sweet. Nothing wrong with that. Toledo. And I am on Toledo. I agree with that. Toledo minus 3.5 against Akron.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I have a few more. I'll put it out on Twitter what I do. But I have Holy Cross this morning as well. And I'll have a few more on the extra board. Sorry, I'm just a little behind.
Yeah, no problem. There we go. Yes, liking Holy Cross. That's a lot of points. Colgate, we know, is the class, or one of the teams that can obviously win the Patriot League this year. There's no question. They're an outstanding basketball team. That guard for them is just incredible. And he's the straw that stirs the drink. But again, we're talking 19 points. It's a lot to be laying in a conference game. But and you can tell the betting markets are adjusting to them. As far as I'm concerned, yes, Toledo. I mentioned them. I'm on Arizona State laying the points on the road at Oregon State and also the over. Oregon State's just said, you know what? We couldn't give a shit about playing any defense. We're not very good anyway. We saw what Arizona did to them the other night, hanging almost 100 spot on them in that game. And Arizona State, they've had some losses. They lost to UCLA. They were shorthanded. Remember, Remy Martin didn't play in that game. A couple other players. But I think they're going to be better to almost full strength today or close to it. And if they are, then I think they'll be focused. You can do away with a bad team like Oregon State. So I like Arizona State there as a moderate road favorite. And the game probably can get up and over the total as well. I kind of like Tulane against Temple. I'm not buying what Temple's selling with that win against Central Florida. Now they got to do it on the road. I don't trust them. I like I like the Tulane Green Wave for sure. Ron Hunter, one of my favorite coaches in college basketball. I think Tulane gets the win, and it's all they have to do. It's right around to pick them. As far as the added board goes, Army Boston over the total. I like that. 140.5. Army plays fast up and down the floor. And Boston has a good offensive team this season. I think we'll see points in that game with Army Boston. I lean to New Hampshire plus the points against Stony Brook. Stony Brook, a lot of totally revamped team coming into the season. It took them some time. They are playing better now, but I think the adjustment has been made. Now it's a good time to go against Stony Brook once again. UMass Lowell, Binghamton, that's another over for me in that game. UMass Lowell gets up and down the floor. Binghamton, not so much, but Binghamton games in these 130s have been sneaking over the total, and now they're going to play a team that plays faster, and the total's still in that 130s. So I still like that. UMass Lowell, Binghamton over. I like Nichols State, Central Arkansas over the total with those two teams that play fast. Same thing with Norfolk State and a horrible Delaware State team. They play fast and they don't play any defense, the Delaware State Hornets. So that game should get up and over the total as well. And we're also looking at the Highlanders of NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, +3 at Albany. Albany's been a nice little underdog, and they've cashed for me a few times in that role, but now they're favored, and NJIT is a damn good team, and I think NJIT might be the better team. So to get 3 with them, I think is worth a bet there against Albany in America East action. So that's my added board games. We're going to wrap it up now because we got the NFL show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific in about 10 minutes. Before we do, Connor, hit our sponsors and then give us your best bet.
Yeah, go to mybookie.ag, hit promo code PubSports. If you use debit or credit, you get 50% off. If you use Bitcoin, you get 100% off. So you put $1,000, they give you $1,000. Use credit or debit. Put $1,000, they give you $500. And go to bulksupplements.com, hit promo code PubSports. You get 10% off your order. Get all the vitamins, all the creatine, protein you need. Get to bulksupplements.com. They're a great sponsor of ours. Get it.
All right, there we go. All right, C-Mac, best bet. What do you got?
Well, there's a few games I think that I am in revenge for, and maybe my mind's just on this. There's so many games, on a Saturday. I'm going back to it. I got a 4, but I'll still make it at 3.5. I'm going with San Diego State. I don't know if they win it. They should win it, but give me the 4. But I won't say 4 because 4s are gone. 3.5 still good. Same thing, basically. Plus 3.5 San Diego State. I think they win this one, or if they lose, it's just by a bucket.
Bothers me like crazy that Matt Mitchell's not playing and probably not gonna.
I know.
It really, really does. Otherwise, yeah, obviously it would be a no-brainer for me to look San Diego State plus points after a loss to Utah State. I would still lean Aztecs, but I really think that's a huge loss because their offense, so much of it revolves around him. And if he's not on the floor, I worry about that offense because that offense struggled big time the other night against Utah State. That would worry me, but I understand the spot, and I just wish Mitchell would healthy, or else I would have bet that too. But I would still lean Aztecs, and Conor going with that as his best bet. San Diego State plus 3.5 against Utah State. I'm going to go with let's see here in terms of best bet. I'm going to go with the one that's hopefully the number is it's gotten away a little bit. Let's do Citadel VMI. It's over 168.5. It's been working. I like this quite a bit. Citadel VMI over 168.5. Citadel games are just hitting 170s almost each time out now. And they're still not up the total. They're getting up there. We're seeing the total slightly go up and up and up, but it hasn't gone up far enough just yet. Citadel VMI over 168.5 for my best bet. That'll wrap up the show. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. We're back in 10 minutes. Don't you dare go away. NFL closing time with Connor Mack, myself, and Ski Profit. See you in 10 minutes for Connor Mack. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a good Saturday. Enjoy the college basketball card. Good luck. We'll see you in 10 minutes for the NFL closing time show right here on Pub Sports Radio.